Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks everyone for making the time today for our fourth webinar, kind of addressing the FinOps themes that we had at FinOps X, Optimized for Value. Today we have our product manager, Jeevan, and Joy and Vignesh from our engineering team, diving into kind of a deep dive into the background of how we work on optimization and everything. So a couple of housekeeping items before I hand it off. One, use the chat if you are having issues. Please reach out to us. That chats directly with us, and we will take care of you. Or if there are specific things you want to ask that you may not want in Q&A. But if you have a question on how we're doing something or why we're doing it in a specific way, I'm willing to bet most other people have a similar question. Please use the Q&A so we can officially get those answered. So all that to say, I'm going to hand it off to Jeevan to get us going. Thanks for joining. Jeevan, all you.
Thanks, TJ. Thanks everyone for joining. For today's agenda, we will start with the problem space because we want to convey that some of the key pain points which we always keep in mind before we go ahead with solutioning or before deciding any roadmap item or our long-term strategy. And then I would like to kind of give a glimpse into what is a central tenet or theme which we are kind of aligning ourselves with in new experience, which is turning insight into action, not limit ourselves to just, recommendations, but complete that loop till action and quantification. I'll also quickly go through the demo of key optimization capabilities we have today in new experience. And while I go through it, I'll also highlight some of the roadmap items or enhancements which we are working on and which we will be there very soon. And the big bucket items are certainly in the later, which is in path forward. I would also like to touch upon unit economics. How do we move beyond absolute cost in terms of optimization? And I will let Joy and Vignesh, who are senior technical leads in optimization area, who build and evolve this optimization engine, which drives all the capabilities which we are able to see in NX. And please do ask questions in Q&A as we move ahead. And please do add comments if what we are mentioning here, resonates with you. All right. And if there is anything which you would like to convey to us, I would like to hear more from you than which I'm presenting. I'll start with the problem space, which I say it as an efficiency challenge because there are a lot of areas which makes this harder than what it should be, starting with fragmentation, right? So if we look at, since the footprint is multi-cloud now, if you have to get a cohesive view, you would really have to go to all the CSP consoles, let's say at AWS, Azure, and GCP, and each of them have their own way of representing data, right? There is no real cohesive, coherent view which you can get across these cloud provider consoles. Even within CloudHealth, right? If you look at classic experience, though we are supporting multi-cloud, you still have to go to different tabs, right? From an information architecture standpoint, it is still siloed because you will not be able to see all the opportunities, let's say you have, or all the areas which you would like to focus on, right, in one place as a unified view. So fragmentation is the first pain point which we perceive. The second being, so in some way, you still get a cohesive view, right? But still, if these opportunities or the identification of inefficiencies, if they are not linked to your business, then again, it won't be eventually actionable, right? So lack of business context, right? And because this context is missing, what it allows you not to do is to assess the impact, right? These opportunities or this wastage, these inefficiencies, how exactly, if I resolve it or not resolve it, right? Either ways, how is it going to impact my business? That's what is missing right? Even with if you rely on cloud provider consoles, again, this business context, you will not be able to carry over to, every cloud, because each cloud has their own construct and their own representations or, um, right, the way they represent the data. Third being, um, there are so many areas, right, where you can get recommendations, right? There will be an opportunity to purchase a reserved instance, to make best use of discount mechanism. There will be an anomaly which you need to address. But since you have too many recommendations, you would not really be able to prioritize, right? Let's say you can save an amount X by investing in purchasing an RI, but at the same time, there might be an active anomaly which is ongoing, which may costing you 3x, right? So obviously, you would have to address that first, because you can still have some time to go make a purchase decision of RI, right? So how do you prioritize it, right? In these sea of recommendations and opportunities which you see across multiple areas, right? And even if you kind of have a cohesive view, still get a business context, right? As a FinOps practitioner, the next step would be to uh, action it, right? You will have to, if there is an action need to be taken to resolve a waste or right size an instance or go purchase commitment discounts, right? You will have to figure out who is the owner for it, who is accountable for it, and you will have to pass on the ownership to that specific BU or app teams. So how do you decide that ownership and how do you follow through, right? Because it's not enough that if you have visibility, it has to go through the action. And finally, quantification, right? After all this effort which you put as a practitioner, following all the best practices, and following up with your BUs and app teams, having that dialogue, right? All of after all that, how do you really know that your efforts have contributed to making an impact to your business, and really you were able to save money for your organization? I'm sure you can, resonate with these pain points, or and this we consider it as a problem space, and all of the roadmap strategy we are working towards in optimization area have this basis, right? This problem space. So, uh, this is the reason why we keep this as an anchor, because um, whatever solutioning we do, it should not be an ad hoc and always aligned with solving these pain points. So, with this, I would like to kind of go through the central tenet or theme which we are following to address these problem space, right? And specifically in new experience. And we have started demonstrating this via waste identification and elimination. So this is something new, and we will be kickstarting the private beta very soon, right? And if you are if you would like to explore this capability early on, where you can witness this complete loop, right? Starting from visibility till quantification, please reach out to your account teams and we will be happy to assist you to introduce to that capability and get your feedback early on before we go GA. And this is not limited to waste identification. This is a first area which we have picked up in new experience to demonstrate this complete loop, right? And this will carry over to every area in our platform, right? So the idea here is, the first step is always visibility. So when I say visibility, it's not into reporting, right? Obviously, you have cost history report. Smart Summary gives you good visibility into what your costs are, where the money is being spent. When I mean visibility here, visibility into your optimization opportunities, right? How much resources are being wasted, and what you can do to maximize your savings. We start there with visibility, and then we would like to give flexibility for you to configure the same, right? To the best extent possible. If we are talking about waste, what waste really means to you, right? That's what we want to do it in the second step, where configurable waste definitions. So this is very specific here for the first beta which we are introducing, which I will also demonstrate briefly. It's for using asset properties, right? But this context can be extended to any of the area in the platform, such as right sizing recommendations, right? You would want to pick a bunch of recommendations and act on it, right? As a practitioner, obviously for you is to be able to reach out to respective owners so that they can act on it. That would be your, prerogative or the action which you would like to take. But certainly we would like to give you the configurability or the freedom to decide to the best extent possible, say what waste really means, right? Whether, let's say, if there is a 8 snapshot, whether you would consider a snapshot 2 months old as waste, or is it really 3 or 6 months old, which you can define, right? That's what is in configurability. Once you do those necessary configurations, next step would be to design or to decide accountability. So, who is the owner to which you would like to pass on this, right? So that it is acted upon, and if there is a waste, the waste is resolved. If it is, some resources need to be downsized, the respective owners downsize it. When I say tag-based accountability here in third step, as we are moving towards virtual tags, that's what it signifies because we could eventually use that capability for accountability, but it doesn't necessarily have to be literally tags. What we mean is an annotation that there is a way for you to identify with whom the ownership lies, right? And it could be in terms of, could be a specific assignee, or it could be a Jira project, right? That you may just want to create a ticket in Jira or ServiceNow, which goes to a specific project in Jira, right? And then whoever is the assignee in that projects will take care of that. Right? And then finally, trigger an action as a practitioner. Primary, uh, you know, task for you to pass on the ownership to your app teams or the business units. You'll be able to raise a ticket to Jira or ServiceNow, or send an email, send a Slack message, Teams, and so on. And then finally, the final step would be to quantify savings, for which we already have realized savings in place, right? So this loop is kind of virtuous. You would again, once you look at the quantified savings, you would go back and see what more opportunities are there, right? So this theme we would like to extend in NX to a new experience to every context possible, right? And policy and actions come into play, right? Virtual tags, perspectives come into play, and obviously we start with recommendations, right? That's where the context is, and realize savings gives us what did we save by going through this entire loop, right? So this is a central theme which we are following in NX, and I would like to go through this example with the waste identification, which is new, which you have not seen in the application, but you will be able to witness it very soon, and also be open for beta. Uh, so first is visibility, right? The first step, if you look at our optimization dashboard, this is a dashboard which provides you cohesive opportunities all at one place, right? And wasted resource summary is something we have introduced newly. So using asset properties, you'll be able to kind of look at what are the waste currently, which is across the organization and across services, such as any snapshot, unattached EBS, right, idle VMs, and so on. So we will have some of the out of the box um, definitions for waste, but you can add your own, right? So this is where you start. So when you look at optimization dashboard along with your discount optimization opportunities like RIs and SPs, you can also look at right sizing summary, and you can also look at active anomalies. Along with it, you will also be able to look at wasted resource. So where we draw this distinction from right sizing is that um, downsizing resources would require more dialogue with your teams, and I'm sure you would resonate or you would kind of uh, agree to that. Whereas terminating a wasted resource relatively should be a easier conversation, right? As compared to downsizing. That's where we are drawing this distinction. And wastage can be determined through asset properties, right? And as well as if you would like to use metrics, right? Say waste could be CPU less than 1%. Um, but now we are starting with using asset properties. In Asset Explorer, you can pick any asset property to define what waste means. Eventually, we will have more ways to define what really waste is, such as using metrics. So this is an example
Before
of yeah.
before you move on, quick question from Q&A. Wasted resource summary, is GCP enabled for this as well? Is it roadmapped? Where are we with the wasted resource summary and GCP?
Yes, we have started with the AWS and Azure because GCP will follow soon, as we have to get because if you look at these cost numbers, right, it is basically quantified through getting all the potential savings at a resource level, right? So that's what we would like to do it for GCP as well across all the assets. And even within some of the Azure assets, we are extending it to all of the assets, trying to cover as much as assets or resources as possible. Because um, the potential monthly savings at a resource level is something which we introduced newly in Graph, and we are leveraging that to showcase potential savings for you, right? So yes, the I think in short, it will be extended across three clouds. But out of the box content, if you look at, we are starting with AWS and Azure, and GCP will follow very soon.
Thanks, Shivan.
Great. So this is how the visibility would be, and this is just one context, and it won't be limited to this. So we are expediting to bring in this context in every place where you see it here, right? Like if you would like to go into anomalies, we will make sure that you have a prompt there to take an action, or maybe to complete the loop which we just saw, right? We will not stop at visibility. We'll make sure you'll be able to configure to the best possible extent. You will be able to get to the ownership. And once you decide the ownership, pass on that onus to that owner, and also look at quantify how the effort resulted into, right? So this is the first step towards it. Moving on to second step, right, where um, we have configurability. So if you look at for the waste definition case, we have a new tab introduced, which is waste definition. But if you go into specific waste definition, you'll be able to change the query directly, right? As you can see in the top, this is for snapshot, age snapshots, right? And you can see all the snapshot which are aged, which is 60 days ago, right? You can define, like, if it is instead of 60, you would like to make it 6 months or it's just 1 month, you can edit it, right? So this definition, what waste really means to you, you can define. Obviously, to the extent which is we can provide flexibility, right? We will provide that so that you can modify it. We will have out of the box content, and you can clone those out of the box content, and you can modify it accordingly, or you will be able to create new definitions as well. In future, let's say if it is for downsizing recommendations instead of waste, or it could be RI recommendations, you would see a similar screen in context, right? The waste definition context right now is in assets, right? Because it is driven by resources underneath, but every context would be different. But you will be able to do similar steps, what you see here, in all those contexts, right? The third is accountability, right? Since now you know what waste is, you know the top five wastage and how much you can save by resolving those wastes. And now to decide who's the owner, right? So that you can pass on, say, we saw the 8 snapshots. Now you want to set up the flow for it. How do you resolve those snapshots? Say you name it delete snapshots. Right? Behind the scenes, we are bringing in policy framework here, policy and action, which you will see full-fledged policy and action workflow, which is reimagined flow in new experience very soon. But behind the scenes, it's already in works. So here you can see we have established first-class integration with Jira Cloud, right? And if you would like for a generic integration, there is always webhooks, right, which are configured. Obviously, they are less flexible as compared to first class integration, which we have created with Jira Cloud. But still, you'll be able to broadcast, right? If you want to create a ticket in ServiceNow, you can still do it using ServiceNow webhook, but you will not be able to get back anything. Whereas in Jira Cloud, it's a you can get the Jira ID, which gets created in Jira of your organization, get back that response as well, right? So the Jira projects here, right, which you can take a look. Right now, this represents ownership, right? Because this particular ticket, when it gets created, it goes into the bucket of, say here, the Team Titans or Team Phoenix, right? Then these teams will take up that ownership to go ahead and delete these 8 snapshots, right? Eventually, we will bring in more granular ownership construct. Like if you would like to, um, assign it to a specific person there, right? And here you can also send an email. So right now we are supporting email, ticket in Jira Cloud, right? And any webhook, right? Which you have already configured in CloudHealth Classic. So this is how accountability gets defined. And as I'm saying, eventually, if we would like to get to a specific assignee, what we would like to do is through Data Connect, we want to bring in any ownership information you have, right? Because as a practitioner, you may not know top of your mind, right? Like who this A snapshot should go to, right? So if you have a reference in your any of your databases like CMDB, right? If you have that mapping, right, these resources would belong to this particular teams or views, we can get that for you through Data Connect, and you'll be able to select a appropriate or relevant assignee here, which is more granular than what you see here.
Couple of questions before
Yeah.
we move on, Jeevan, real quick. So first, question, will the waste definitions be set company-wide or can they be configurable at the BU level or
Yeah.
at the sub-org level?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for beta, we are starting with waste definitions only at a TLOU level, which is at a top level. We have started this way because this flow right now is practitioner driven. And I'm sure in big organizations, practitioners will be at specific BU or specific sub-org level from our FlexOgs, verb terminology. But we will extend it very soon so that you can create waste definitions at sub-org level. And very similar to the way we have report sharing, we'll also make sure these queries are shareable across your organizations as well. But right now, with the beta, which we are kicking off this week, early next week, it's only at a top level log. Yeah.
One more. Where are we publishing complete syntax and semantics of queries, including data elements available to be considered in waste definition? So trying to understand a little bit more of how we're calculating some of those waste definitions. And I think you might be getting to that in a little bit.
Yes. So right now for beta, the waste definitions are purely driven by asset properties, and I'll also show a quick demo in the while I go to the demo uh, um, piece. But in brief, so when you go to Explore, right, Asset Explorer today, you can write search queries, right? So you can write, let's say, EC2, fetch all EC2 instances. And if you select potential monthly savings, we are also deriving the month-to-date cost as well as if you project that, how much it would cost for a specific month, right? That specific resource. We use that potential monthly savings, even for waste definition, to attribute how much you can save by eliminating this wasted asset. Right? So that's how we define. And specific, format or context. Right now, it would be asset QL, right? What you can see on the top here, like aws.ec2.snapshot has creation time. This would be to start with, right? What we will do eventually, like as part of the roadmap, is we are moving towards FlexQL, right? Because you're already using FlexQL in reporting, and you can write complex queries using that. We will have a similar interface for you to kind of go deep into how you can define waste, how you can scope it, right? If you would like to pick specific resources pertaining to this particular project, this particular business unit, this particular application. So all the scoping becomes much easier with that. But right now it will be in asset QL. You can modify the asset QL and definition will change. We will have out of the box content for you to give some idea about how these queries can be written. We are giving about 10 queries for you. You can clone those and modify. And also documentation will highlight how you can edit these asset QL for the to extract the best out of, to define waste. Yeah. We will
Awesome.
share the
Thank you, sir.
documentation.
All right, feel free to keep going. We are caught up on questions, but please keep asking questions either in Q&A or chat if you have something directly.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So we saw accountability and then actionability. So each of these waste definitions, you will see a prompt like take action, and that's where you will see this screen where you can select the owner, right? And how frequently you would like to, assess this or evaluate this condition, right? And take action. And once you add this action, you'll be able to view the results of the action as well. Right now, if you participate in beta, you will be navigated to the classic page for view action, but we will bring that page entire policy and action framework into new experience so that everything will be in context. So here you will see the definition, you will see what waste is, right? You will scope it down to say specific account or specific accounts. You can enable disable this waste definition. If you find it irrelevant, then just disable it. You will be able to see how much you can save. You can see system defined queries, which is out of the box, which are created by you, and take action and then view action, right? And then finally, for quantification, once these resources are eliminated, right? Behind the scenes, we track these resources. We know the resource IDs of these, and we'll be able to bring you into eliminated resources, which is under realized savings. So eventually, we will bring in the classification as well, which resources are deleted through this path which we took, right? The complete loop, and which ones are maybe you might delete some resources because project going obsolete, right? Some environment teardown, which is not really related to inefficiency per se, but life cycle based deletions. We will segregate that so that you can clearly call out. So these are inefficiency based deletions, and this is what you will be able to save for your organization. So this is the complete loop or the central tenet in which we will drive all the capabilities in future. And please let us know what you, think about these steps. And yeah, I would like to quickly show the new experience and also a quick demo of the waste identification, which we um, just discussed. Yeah, so this is where a practitioner would start, right? If you look at the pain points, we started with fragmentation, and this is what we want to kind of trying to address here. See, all possible areas of recommendations are available to you here, right, in one place. And the most important aspect is prioritization. You can look at these, and if you would like to prioritize based on the urgency, right, the need to quickly resolve, maybe you should look at anomalies and what's the cost impact of that, right? Because if this anomaly goes on, you will keep losing that whatever cost impact we have quantified to. But if your current coverage is less, right, there is a lot of on demand and you have not covered it well, maybe if you would like to bring coverage, if you have a target of say a specific X percentage, maybe you should look at resource based opportunities, right? And if there is anything which is expiring in next 6 months or 3 months, maybe you should plan ahead, right? So this is the view which gives you a cohesive way and not fragmented across clouds and across services, right? From here, as a practitioner, you can drill down into each of these areas and take a look at the details. And chronologically, how we have approached this is, if you would like to see the present, right? How are you doing today? You will look at your current effective savings rate, right? What's your current coverage? What is being underutilized, right? You may not be able to do much with RIs, right? Or SPs, because we have limited agency there. But still, you'll be able to understand what went wrong, right? Where did we overcome it? And if there is something expiring, you need to act upon right now, and what's there for future, right? That's what this is about. Total saving sees what you can do for your future, so that the future is better and optimized, and how well you did in the past, right? That's what this realized savings covers, right, over the months. So that's the thought process we had in mind, so that chronologically you will have present, past, and future well covered in terms of how do you approach optimization, and how do you strategize based on that. And this is the wasted resource summary I was mentioning about, which is open for beta. So the flow is from it would be extended to every context here. So you would basically look at total waste opportunities and what are those top resources which are incurring waste. And you can also see the count here. And then once you drill down, you'll be taken to a context. So this context right now is asset property based waste. Eventually, for downsizing, you'll be taken to downsizing recommendation. For RIs, you'll be taken to RI recommendation so that you can proceed with action. Right. So this is where you will see waste definitions and take action. So you can click on take action, provide a relevant name, and then we are supporting three actions right now: email, webhook, and Jira Cloud. And this is where we would need your feedback that if any of the first class integrations matters the most for you, and that's what we would like to make it as part of our roadmap, right? So that we bring in first class integrations. Right now, webhook is a very generic way to action upon, any of these waste, and Jira Cloud is the first class integration. You can pick um, the ownership, who's the right owner for whom you want to pass on the ownership. So once you complete that action, you will see a message that action is in progress for some time. And once the action is taken, you will be able to see Weave action. And in realized savings, once you will be able to see once that resource is eliminated behind the scenes by the team which you have assigned it to. Let's say the team takes care of that, right? Either deleting a snapshot or deleting idle VMs. So we track that resource ID, and in realized savings, you will be able to see the same amount, which is potential monthly savings, which is now translated into realized savings. Um, And so from this overall view, you'll be able to drill down into each of these, areas where you can save, right? Like when you go into right sizing, you will get a multi-cloud overview, right? It is across AWS, Azure, and GCP, right? And you'll be able to see the terminate recommendations separately because they are easier to action upon. And in the details page, you can see detailed recommendations, right? And along with the all the context which you would like to provide, right? Like you can specific context of perspective, specific regions, right? So all those details we would provide, and this is the same pattern which we are following across all the opportunities, right? Even if you visit commitment discount. So here is where the rate optimization falls in. Right sizing is mostly usage optimization. So even in rate optimization, you will see a similar pattern that we will give you the summary and then into the details. So again, here for spend based, we are just missing GCP because GCP doesn't provide us necessary APIs to get spend based cards. And we are working with Google to see if we can get that API made public. Resource based opportunities, all three are supported, right? And you can again filter it based on various parameters which are available here. And um, and one important aspect here is our strategy here is to get base recommendations from cloud provider and enrich on top of it. Like we will provide you like cross linking here in terms of if you would like to look at a specific resource from here, we will take you to asset context, and if you would like to look at specific metrics, right, such as there is Azure recommendations, and if you would like to look at the metrics upon which this recommendation is provided, we'll provide you those details. So this is where we will enrich these recommendations with the platform constructs and platform intelligence, and that's the strategy going forward. And apart from opportunities, you'll be able to take a look at realized savings to go back in the past how we have been doing. And so it covers rate optimization area here and then usage optimization here. And you can drill down into each of these. Like if I go here for the coverage, you'll be able to see how this specific coverage is being computed, right? On the y-axis, it's a dual axis. You can see a coverage here, and you can see the numerator and denominators on the left-hand side here. And you can also see it in the grid, how this coverage is arrived at. Basically, what quantities are used as numerator and what is used as denominator. We are also updating our help center documentation with detailed flex query so that you can further drill down and map these values to actual um, specific fields from the bill, right? So that you have credible numbers, right? There's no issues with trusting these numbers, right? We want to give you that complete traceability right from the numbers we show here, right, on the dashboard, one level drill down, and then further calculations, right? How exactly this number is arrived at. And obviously anomaly detection. We have root cause analysis, which is mainly missing in new experience, which will come soon. Together, this is what the offering as optimization recommendation. And as I was saying, the central tenet is to be able to kind of bridge these all of it together till the action and quantifiability.
Before we hand off to do kind of deep dive into how things work up behind the boot with unit economics and under the hood, question about light mode for new experience. I think that's a second half priority. I
Yes.
don't know if we have a better timeline.
Yep. Yep. It's definitely coming in H2. We are already working on it to get you the similar experience as that we have in Classic. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So I want to quickly touch upon unit economics. I would not take much time because this is where optimization also touches upon something which is beyond absolute cost, right? So we have cost history, smart summary. All these tools are great at providing you deeper visibility into how is your cost changing? Why from June to July? Why did you see an increase? And so on. But still, we are working with absolute cost. We do not know if there is a cost increase, whether it is justified or not. Right. This is where we want to take real optimization towards, where through Data Connect, if you can give us the value drivers, right? A value driver, when I say for line of business, it could be customers served by these line of businesses, right? So these line of businesses are incurring cost, but at the same time, how do they deliver value is by serving customers. So how many customers are they serving? Right. If it is application, let's say if it is a know your client application, value driver could be number of customers screened. If it's a say web app of some kind, it could be number of API hits, right, or number of users logging in, because CloudHealth doesn't have that data, but it has good understanding of your constructs of application, line of business, and what is the cost of those, right? So we have the numerator here, right? The app cost or line of business cost or project cost, we have it modeled in our platform. What we need from you is value driver according corresponding to these, right? That's where we can compute unit economics ratio, and Data Connect is the way to operationalize it, right? Data Connect allows you to give us that value driver, and we will map it to specific perspectives, right? It has to be driven through perspectives and virtually, and eventually to virtual tags, because we will have to map the cost to the corresponding value driver. That's where Data Connect comes into picture so that you can get us value driver. And how it helps you is when you look at cost history, where it would limit is if you see a increase, you can go to the root cause of it, like why that increase has happened, but whether that change is justified or not, right? Sometimes that increase may go unnoticed, but that increase in cost may not be providing you the commensurate business value. But if we track unit cost, right, which is app cost per value driver, and if you see a peak there, it's a very clear indication that your numerator has gone up, right? Which is your application cost or line of business cost, but the value driver has not, right? That means some ASG would have fired inadvertently, which is not adding any value, right? Because it has not increased number of users hit, number of API calls, right, or number of customers served. Those have not increased. That means there is some optimization needed, and that's what we would like to hint towards, right, beyond absolute cost. So this is another angle we want to take, right, on optimization side, apart from the virtuous cycle which we discussed. And with that, I would hand it over to Joy and Vignesh to give a a glimpse of how this all of this which you looked at and all of which is coming in future is driven by the optimization engine, and it is to more like to give you an assurance about what best practices we follow and what kind of you know um, controls in place so that this engine is running and without any interruptions and giving you the best value possible. Joy, over to you.
You are on mute, Joy.
Sorry. Yeah.
All
Hey,
good.
everyone. Yeah, thank you for joining today. I'm Joy. In multi-cloud environment, achieving rate optimization is one of the critical aspect for cost control. Today, I'm going to walk you through the high-level architecture that powers our commitment, discount recommendations, and realized savings capabilities in the context of rate optimization. So we look at how we ingest data for AWS, Azure, and GCP, how our engines generate recommendations, how we compute realized savings, and how we ensure absolute data integrity and reliability at each stage of the pipeline. So let's start with the multi-cloud RINSP recommendations. So for AWS, we ingest the transform cost and usage report artifact. For Azure and GCP, we query native cloud recommendation APIs. Once we ingest this data, uh, 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 it flows into cloud-specific engines that runs on a daily basis. AWS splits into two parts. The classic engine that is processing the billing data into multi-dimensional cubes to generate daily EC2 and RDS RI recommendations. The NG engine, on the other hand, utilizes the Spark to generate several intermediate artifacts for usage and commitments, and then the savings plan and other RA recommendations, apart from EC2 and RDS RA recommendations. The Azure recommendation engine fetches the savings plan and reservation recommendations from Azure directly and then stores into database. For GCP, again, we rely on the native cloud provided API to fetch resource-based card recommendations on daily basis. Post ingestion, we do some post processing. Our platform computes the monthly projected cost and normalizes the data and stores into database. While Azure and GCP recommendations feed directly into UI through GraphQL APIs, the AWS Classic and Next-Gen recommendations flow into an aggregator engine that runs on a weekly basis for consolidation. So this ensures that AWS recommendations are perfectly aggregated before being served. The final output is a unified multi-cloud recommendation dashboard. So at every building block, you can see in this diagram, observability is deeply embedded. We stream all execution logs to AOps, that's an logging engine. Any code exceptions or pipeline failures immediately triggers error events in Sentry. And then we track job execution times, data latency, API lag, etc. into a monitoring tool called DX Open Explore, formerly known as Wavefront. And if a daily sync fails or dataset is delayed, we have our own framework to detect those dataset. It's called dataset delay detection. And then we notify all of these issues through Support Universe tool. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah. Now let's look at the realized savings pipeline, the engine that calculates the actual savings achieved by various means. This pipeline relies on a combination of billing data, pricing data, and active assets data for RLSP. So we ingest AWS and GCP billing artifacts alongside Azure normalized billing artifact. We call it synthetic billing artifact. We do certain modifications on top of the billing data. To calculate the on-demand costs for reservations, we ingest the pricing on the pricing data. Uh, this is specific to Azure. We don't do this for AWS and GCP. Then we pull the active commitment RI and SP inventory. What our purchases were made in the past, we gathered those to map against the actual usage to compute the commitment utilization. To balance the processing efficiency with data freshness, this pipeline runs twice a week. First, the data transformation engine normalizes the raw billing data. And as I said, for Azure, it applies the Azure pricing catalog to compute the on-demand cost for reservations. This is very specific to Azure. And then next, there's a savings processing engine. This is common to all clouds. It takes these artifacts generated in the previous stage and then combines with active RI and SP inventory data, and it generates several artifacts, several metrics, commitment savings, commitment coverage, commitment utilization, effective savings rate, etc. These metrics are persisted into our database to power GraphQL APIs. And then also it generates a high performance multi-cloud commitment savings dataset to enable the deep dive drill down in the UI. So from the dashboard, you can drill down and visualize how each of these metrics are calculated in realized savings dashboard. So that is the data set about. Observability is same. At each stage of the engine, we have the observability capability embedded into. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah. Finally, let's look at how these pipelines converge to deliver a single pane of glass for our customers. Like our rate optimization dashboard is powered by three upstream inputs. One is commitment recommendations, realized savings metrics, and a daily background savings impact job that scans active commitments and then cross references with the billing data, pricing data, etc., to find out the upcoming expiration and the savings impact from it. So this savings impact job runs weekly once to identify the expiring commitments in the next 90 days. Uh, uh, the aggregator job, it combines all this data and then powers the ESR, the commitment coverage that shows the realized efficiency, the underutilized cost that shows how much is wastage, potential savings that shows immediately the immediate opportunities from various recommendations, and savings impact that is a kind of a warning that customers can take action to ensure that those are renewed, the expiring commitments are renewed. That's an indicator for savings impact. And again, observability is same here, that we have observability embedded into every building block of this pipeline. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. And over to you, Vignesh.
Thanks, Jay. Next slide, please. Yeah, thanks for this slide. Okay, now Jai has touched upon many of the underwood. Now I'm going to talk about like how right-sizing framework under the wood it's going to work. As you could see, there are two paths. We have it currently. One is classic, one is on the NX also. So I'm going to touch upon both the ways and tell more advantage and architectural how does it work. Now let me first focus on the classic path. So if you look at classic path, right, there are these recommendations are fragmented in many components. Each component has its own responsibility. For example, configuration manager. So every intelligent system, right, need a single source of truth. That is exactly a configuration manager provides. It provides it acts as a control plane of the entire recommendation engine, and every module in our recommendation engine will consult this config manager to understand which asset to be analyzed and at what utilization metrics are important to get to their recommendation. And if you come to the asset manager, this is one pane of glass what we have about our infrastructure, what customer has it. So once the system knows what to analyze, right? Next question comes to the what infrastructure do I have actually have running? So that is what the answer we get it from the our asset manager. It has the complete inventory information for your asset, including what a CPU, what memory your configuration inventory is and storage as well as processor and every resource information it contains. For example, in case of EC2, right, you will have a CPU memory, every information is contained over here. Now once the our recommendation starts. One other information also we need is what is the resource are being used currently, right? That's where our metric manager comes into the picture. Metric manager, what it does is it collects the actual throughput of the customers, like what is their current CPU, memory, disk, as well as all the network activity. This we will collect it through, for example, for Azure Monitor API, we use it. For AWS, we use CloudWatch metrics. If they have any external connector for the metric, right, we do even collect from there as well. So once these informations are readily available, right, that is where we have a query executor. This is where our real right sizing engine runs it. So what we do is based on our metric collection as well as our the asset inventory, we understand, okay, is there any underutilized or the uh, workload behavior or not used in a right way. If there is underutilized or it is overutilized, right, that's where we run our algorithm to understand, like, okay, whether we should go and uplift, whether we should go and downlift, right, downsized. And also all this information are stored in the Elasticsearch. We use that sort of inventory that contains all the pricing details as well as the all the inventory of the all the assets. So we go through them, and also we will be recommending, right, we ensure that it is coming under the same family. So when a recommendation gives, right, it also tries to give the three recommendation, but most best fetch, most it tries to give an under that family. Now that has come, like, then it also tries to compare the price. So now we have given the price, we have given the recommendation. Now it tries to tell what is the savings you could get out of it. That is where the savings calculator come into the picture. So we took the hourly potential cost, and we try to calculate the potential savings on the hourly, monthly, and annual basis. It's pretty much on the overall in the old way of. And one more thing to add upon is there are two categories we do have it: customers for VLC as well as non-VLC. If a customer is on VLC pattern, right, we pre-cook the data and keep it, because as when they have it, right, when the number of instances are more than 25,000, right, we categorize them as VLCs. So we run as a background job. Other than that, small customers, we try to populate them in the runtime itself, because we ensure that we will have the SLAs are taken. Now coming to the pass through. Now the one aspect of it, having it our own recommendation, is the breadth of the assets we cover it, right. That's where we go to the native base. Azure and GCP both are powered in the NX through the native. We do use an Azure recommendation API, as well as for the GCP also we use them. So what we do is we are not just collecting and showing it in the NX. Rather than what we do is, after we collect it, right, we have done an extensive analysis what value add we can add on top of the native recommendation. For example, for Azure, right, what we have noticed, that the recommendations are good, but what they price savings opportunity they give us, it's on the listing price. So but customers are what we provide in the current recommendation is on the actual cost. So what we have done is, like, when the customer once we collect them, right, we run our engine to understand a transformation engine. We run it, and then we try to collect the asset information all in that. So we try to see like what is the actual savings we could get it. So we could calculate them, as well as one of the key thing in Cloud Health is the perspective support, right? We also give a perspective support on top of that recommendation also, and post that what we can do is we could create it as a data set, and the data set is going to be in common across for all the clouds. Currently it is for GCP and Azure as well. Future we are thinking to add for yeah, AWS also. And also we do support a drill down feature, and also we do support a navigation to the asset property routing as well. That's pretty much on the right sizing framework. Quickly, you want to go on next, Jivan? Yeah. Now comes to the realized savings. So the realized savings, now the customers we have given like what are all you have to be saved, right? Now the question comes like how much really customer has saved, because this is the customer wants to know what is their ROI, right? That is where this realized savings comes into the picture. We have put it in two categories. Like Jeevan also told that in future there are going to be one more category comes, which is like provided by the Cloud Health, but currently we have only supporting for eliminated savings and downsize. So what we do is for Azure, for AWS, we support these resource for in under the eliminated as well as downsize. Whereas the Azure scope is much more. We support most of them. What native provider supports. So what it basically does is based on so any action, any change in the configuration in your asset, right, or in your inventory, we listen to that. We understand that okay, what is that really has. Let's say a customer has terminated an instance, right? We understand okay, there is a termination has happened. Right, and also similarly, if there is a sizing changes has happened from your right sizing, you could have downsized, or you could have downsized some of the recommendation, right? We capture all of them, and then we run an engine to ensure like okay, it's kind of a audit records that capture all this information. So on every month basis, what we run is we go through the assets, and then eventually potentially we calculate what is the potential savings we could get it, and then present to the customers. So in the future also, like Jeevan said, we are going to classify them for the CH also. What we get it from the waste identification, that will be the future thing. Given you want to take to anomaly one, I will be pretty quick on that as we have limited time. Yeah, now it comes like now we have given the customer the opportunity to what to save. Now we want to see like okay, before is there any fault tolerant? If you, so as soon as AWS or Azure or GCP drops their bill, right, our anomaly detection engine comes into the picture. We listens to the collection, whatever we have collected to the Cloud Health, and then what we do is we run a transformation engine that is called collection, and whatever we needed for the anomaly detection context, right, we try to prepare them. This is like a huge data, right? But we want to ensure like for the anomaly, right, service region and account or the one of the main context which we needed for the anomaly detection, we could collect them. And then we goes to the stage called prepare, and that stage what it does is in order for our anomaly detection engine, there is a certain ways like data is needed. So it tries to do an cleaning as well as preparedness for to inject into the anomaly detection engine. So once it puts into the anomaly detection engine, right? It really runs the anomaly algorithm. The anomaly algorithm today we have an ensemble of algorithm that is combination of many things. What you can see it in here, right? ACF, predictive, streamline, change point, each has its own significance to it. For example, right, anomaly, if a customer wants to hasn't spent on seasonality, right, we don't want to call every month as an anomaly, right? That is where our stream KM algorithm comes in. So we understand all of them because we have trained it in a way that, and we have built this in-house to understand all of the use cases and tuned it. So once the anomalies have detected it, then we go for a scoring engine. Not every anomaly we don't want to present to the customer. We want to put it in two categories, positive and negative, and also based on the confidence score, right? If the confidence score is very good, we would try to present them, and probably at the end of the state, we will also store them in the our database, and it is also powered by GraphQL as well. And if you see, right, the amount of data we use for anomaly engine is 13 months of data we use it because we want to extensively, we want to study the seasonality pattern headed. So this is what we do it. And observability, but most of our systems are observability enabled. And for anomaly, if there is any delay happens, right, we get to know, like if for an account, if an anomaly detection taken has not run after the build drop, right? Immediately we will come to know. We have a SLA in ours, like after a build drop, if within 24 hours or time, if the anomaly detection has not run it, we could get notification so that we can proactively, it will try to actively work on that issue so that we can present to the customers as well. It's pretty much on the anomaly. Any questions?
No, and for sake of time, I think, Jivan, you're going to skip ahead to some exciting things on roadmap. I know we're a minute or so over, so thank you everyone for sticking around. But Jivan, I think you have something exciting you wanna showcase and potentially get feedback on.
Yep. Thanks, TJ. I won't take much time. I think I'll wrap up in 2 minutes. But we are doing a lot of exciting things, and I would like to mention that one of the key aspect we are addressing is that we are taking base recommendations from cloud providers, but we are making sure we enrich it, right, with both platform intelligence as well as platform constructs, so that on top of these base recommendations, we provide you a lot of value. And that's where we are moving towards, both in rate optimization as well as usage optimization. So if you compare status quo versus future state, we will be investing more and more to give you more and more context. Like if you are looking at recommendations, give context of metrics on which these recommendations are generated, or give you asset explorer details, right? Which assets we are giving recommendations to align with focus, right? Um, in under all this, one of the key aspect is AI spend, which is trending upwards, and we definitely want you to scale your models, not your cloud bill, right? So we have already started investing towards visibility of who is spending what, right? You have definitely seen AI and tokenomics dashboard. We will be definitely extending it to area where we can give you recommendations. Just to give a quick example, if you're writing too much cash, right, you will be charged surplus, and you're not reading from it, then whatever surplus you paid is a wastage. So the same theme or tenet which we are following for all the cloud providers, right, we will extend that to AI spend as well. So AI spend, optimizing AI spend is one of our key pillars which we will be investing in second half of this year um, and onwards. And last, a sneak peek into in context actionability. This kind of summarizes the overall loop which we saw, right from visibility through action. We will start with the dashboard, right? And you will have a context dependent authoring, like you saw in waste identification, right? From that context, you are able to spin off an action and then track that action, right? By assigning owners and so on. You will see that context dependent authoring of a policy, right? Which is extended to every context possible, right? And we will drive it through a layer of data set, because everything will be available for you as a data set. Like there will be a data set for right sizing recommendations, there will be a data set for RI recommendations, and so on. And you will have a context independent authoring framework, right, which is policy and action flow, which you have in Classic, reimagined here with human in the loop. You'll be able to do a dry run and so on. The intent of this is to bring these together, right? Both optimization opportunities, so that you will see that entire loop executed till that action is done. So that's what we are moving towards, to complete the loop and not just stop at recommendations or opportunities. So that's just a sneak peek into where we are headed towards for the second half of this year and into the next year.
Awesome. Thanks, Steven. So now we're a couple minutes after. I appreciate everyone sticking around. Thank you so much. Join the Cloud Health community if you have any questions. Join us there. Ask questions. Also reach out to Jivan, your TAMs, anyone on the Cloud Health team if you'd like to join any of our beta. And I appreciate all of you for hopping on. Thanks, everyone.